Hey guys, it's Shawn. I want to do a little quick session on strategic negotiation and specifically who you negotiate against. Now, this is something that came up recently in an attorneys group. We were talking about a situation among a group of attorneys, and one of the real issues is, how do you set up a negotiation and then how you choose who you negotiate against, right? This may seem like a foreign concept, but many times in the negotiation process, we can come in and pick who's on the other side of the table through different mechanisms. Right now, as a practicing attorney, sometimes we're limited, right? If the other side is represented by a lawyer, our rules of ethics say that we have to work with their lawyer. But sometimes there's a team of lawyers involved. There's different levels of lawyers involved. So even within that situation, if a person has multiple counsel that are representing them in the matter, there is some flexibility in who you engage with within that team. But for more of the regular business person who is not bound by these rules, you can pick your point of entry when you're setting up your negotiation. Who are you setting up the negotiation against? Are you talking to the right person? I've found a lot of times in my life and my career, if I negotiate against the right person, the outcome will be much better than if I just randomly engage. And that's really what we want to sharpen the saw here a little bit on. Hopefully this will help you with your next negotiation. By the way, we've covered negotiation here on the channel before. If it's something you specifically are interested in, drop me some comments, let me know. We'll focus a little more on that in some future episodes. As always, not legal advice. Consult your counsel. We're just here to educate and inform. Get your legal counsel for specific advice. You want to strategically plan all negotiations, and that's broader than just this topic we're talking about today. Who do you negotiate against? But you want to think about what the negotiation process is, what outcomes you would like to have, and then you want to think about what that negotiation process is going to look like. Now, obviously, higher stakes negotiations, ones of more importance, you're going to put more time and attention into this. Day-to-day negotiations, smaller stake stuff, you're not going to worry about as much, right? In an average household, if you're running out to buy something at the local farmer's market, you're not going to put a lot of time and energy in the negotiation. But if you're running out to buy a car or to buy a house, you're going to think more about that negotiation process and you're going to put more time and energy into it. It's no different in business. Some negotiations are worth the time and effort and some aren't. But regardless, if it is one of the ones that's worth the effort to try to get right and the outcome is important to you, then you want to strategically plan that negotiation. And the point we're talking about today that we're focusing on is that strategic plan is who do you engage with on the other side? There's usually within a business multiple points of entry. So let's think we're doing a sales contract. Do we engage with the salesperson directly? Do we try to work with a broader team within the company? Do we try to go higher in the company? Because if it's a bigger order and it's more strategic, it may be more appropriate to work with the leadership team at our potential supplier or customer's company rather than just deal with the individual salesperson, right? And we may want to look at what that is. So we start with, can we pick our counterparty? Is the other company big enough that we can pick who to work with? Do they have enough different strategic connections that we could potentially look at points of entry? Again, like that company with a salesperson that's facing you, right? Are you going to negotiate directly with that salesperson, or do you want to take it out to a different team? And this is where a lot of people use attorneys too. You don't necessarily need an attorney for every negotiation in business. There's certainly no requirement that you hire attorneys to negotiate everything. But one thing that is interesting when you get attorneys involved is it gives you more points of negotiation. You'll generally have a business negotiation going on, and then you'll have an attorney-to-attorney negotiation going on. And again, because the attorneys, absent permission or other factors, permission among the attorneys or other factors, The attorneys can't necessarily talk directly to the non-attorneys, the principals of the business transaction. So the attorneys will be talking to each other and the business people will be talking to each other. So this gives you multiple channels to work and test things. But even without attorneys, there may be multiple points of entry in a company, right? There may be a salesperson, there might be an executive team, there might be management, there might be a fulfillment department, there might be a legal department. There could be lots of points of entry. So a lot of people don't think strategically about which person are we going to line up best with and who are we going to get the best agreement with. A great example is, if you have a problem with a company as a consumer, now you can call customer service and you're going to get caught in that standard loop. But if you have a issue that could lead to a legal claim against that company, often going to the legal department where they can spot the issue and realize the importance of getting the issue fixed may lead to a better outcome. Same issue, same company, same engagement, same problem, but you are dealing with a different person who has a different set of glasses on, is looking at things from a different perspective. So you want to think strategically about, are there options of who you can engage with? And if so, who are you going to engage with? And then once you pick your points of engagement, you probably make a list of your potential points of engagement for an important negotiation. Then you want to think about each person's motivation. What do they want to accomplish? The salesperson probably just wants to close the sale, right? They want to collect their commission. A senior level manager may have many more considerations on the table. Sure, they probably want your sale, they want the revenue coming in, but the senior manager is also thinking about strategic relationships, long-term development of the company. Could they do business with your company and use that as a growth platform to do business with more people? So the senior management person is going to have a broader lens and a broader set of considerations. You need to think now, do my considerations more align with working one-on-one with the salesperson? This is very transactional. Do we just want to get the sale done? Maybe we can leverage a little more money by getting that salesperson motivated to close. Or do I want to go to senior management and talk more about a strategic long-term relationship? Is that going to get me better terms? Really depends on your deal. And then the lawyers are always an option too. Usually there's a legal team or somebody sitting in the background, and they're going to be focused more about compliance, risk, responsibility for risk. They're going to have a completely different set of motivations. And so if you're in a situation where there's been a problem in the past and there's compliance and risk issues, then the legal team is going to be more of ones that are going to come in and say, we didn't comply with our contract, we have potential liability, let's get this settled, right? They're going to come in with a different set of views. So you need to look at each potential counterparty's motivation and think about how that interplays with what you're doing. And then another question is, will they work with you? Will that person want to work with you? Now, when I was talking with this group of lawyers recently about this particular issue, we were talking cross-cultural, and the people on the other side sometimes just don't want to work with you for whatever reason. There are companies, there are cultures out there where, the culture is to ignore legal issues, to try to make them just go away by pretending like they're not there. And if you're dealing with a counterparty that's from that type of culture, that's a problem, right? To try to reach a settlement, you may actually have to go to full-blown litigation. You have to understand what the negotiation pattern may look like. Also, some people in organizations, may not be empowered to work with you, right? You may hit a brick wall in that you get to a good person who's understanding of the issues, but they're not empowered to negotiate with you or not empowered to reach a settlement with you. So you need to understand when you're picking your counterparty, will they work with you? Once you get to that, you want to build rapport and you want to get to solutions, right? You want to figure out how you can build with that person and get to a common understanding and get to a mutual respect and talk about mutually beneficial solutions, right? This is standard negotiating, right? What's in it for each side? Why do you want to get to a deal? And how can you get there? So once you're in the right point of entry, you want to talk about how you get that done. Now, for a little advanced lesson, one thing you want to do is think about, can you change the negotiation if things are not going well? And this is a tactic that can be used sparingly and carefully. But there will be times where you potentially might be engaged with the wrong person. You might find that out after engagement. You may just find you're working with a difficult person. Are there other people that you can somehow re-engage with? This works really well where you have negotiation teams. We talked about the lawyers, right? If you are hitting an impasse with the other business person in the deal, can your lawyers soften things up and work the back channels? If you have multiple lawyers involved in the deal, and lawyer 1 and lawyer 2 hit friction on both sides, can lawyers 3 and 4 come in and start negotiating and start afresh? There are lots of avenues out there. That's the beauty of this. But the concept for today is picking that point of negotiation. Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to negotiate against, and why? Being a little proactive and thinking about how you're engaging may massively change your outcome. Negotiations aren't random, right? They do have some uncertainty to them. They have some unknowns, particularly when you're negotiating against people you're not familiar with. But they are something you can plan and build some process around, and you can control better outcomes that way. Hope this is helpful to you and your business. Drop me some comments below. Let me know what you've seen in the negotiation world, whether you want to try this tactic sometime, and what your experience has been about negotiating with different people to try to get the outcomes you want. All right, catch you soon. Shawn signing off. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and like this video so other folks can see it.